Okay. Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Sotah Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph 31a1. We were talking about that. How do we know that during the time of Kriyat Yam Suf? How do we know that even the fetuses in the stomachs of their mother? How do we know that even the fetuses in the stomach of the mothers were blessing Hakadosh Baruch Hu? So it says the Makelot Barechu Elokim. Right? He says, Hashem Mikor Israel. This is tomorrow's Daf, yes.
For telling me.
So says the Gemara, V'halo Chazu. So we did yesterday.
So was it nice to tell you?
So says the Gemara like this. So we just said, Makelo Baruch Hu Elokim Hashem Mikor Israel. V'halo Chazu. He says, 1 second. The fetuses, they could not see. So it answers the Gemara, Amar B'Tanchum, says B'Tanchum, the stomachs of their mothers became transparent. So for you were able to see through, and therefore the fetuses themselves were able to say Zekelim V'Ambeu because they came and they were able to see, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Fine, very good. Says the 2 dots. Mishnah, right, where we were talking about in the Mishnah, that the same day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, remember Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became Rosh Yeshiva. Yeah? So when he became the Rosh Yeshiva, the 18-year-old, you remember that he became. So Bo Bayom Darash Yoshua Meukanos Shelo Avad Iyov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there was a whole thing that Iyov didn't serve God Ela Me'ava, but only from love, because they were saying that it was only going to be from fear, and then at the end it became also from love. Okay, so says the Gemara, V'lech Sehai Lo, right? I Belamed Aleph Ktiv or Lohu, or I Belamed Vav Ktiv Lohu. Basically like this. In the Hebrew language, the word lo, what does lo mean? Yeah? So, if it's lamed aleph, it means no. If it's lamed vav, it means to him. Where else do we see the same concept? We say mizmor letodah, right? We say mizmor letodah, hadiu l'Adonai kol haaretz, yidu et Adonai b'simcha, bo'u l'femuna, du ki Adonai Elohim hu asanu v'lo anachnu. Hu asanu means that he made us. Velo anachnu. If you learn velo anachnu, lamed aleph, means he made us. We didn't make ourselves. Sure. But if you say hu asanu velo anachnu with a vav, it's he made us, and to him we belong. Velo anachnu, we belong to him. So look. It's actually kriutiv. So here the same thing. Here we're asking, right? Coming, we're asking. That's exactly what I want you to do. To open up a siddur and start paying attention to your tefillah. Yeah. So what happens is that the same thing here is because if you remember, we quoted a pasuk. The pasuk was Heni kteleni, even if Hashem kills me, lo ayachel. I will come and look forward to him. To him I will look forward to. I will wait. So that's what the lamed vav. But if you say lo ayachel with an aleph, it means I'm not going to wait for him. So 1 second, what's going on? Is it just check the pasuk? Is it written with an aleph, or is it written with a vav, which means he made us and we belong to him? We are his sheep, right? We are his nation. We are his sheep. You understood? Very important. Yeah. So therefore, he comes and he says, "Why don't we just check how the pasuk is written? The lo ayachel is lo ayachel written with an aleph or with a vav. If it says written with an aleph, it means that I'm not looking forward to you if you're going to come and kill me. But if it's written with a vav, it means that even if you kill me, I'm still looking forward to you." So says the Gemara, "Lechol hecha dichtiv belamed aleph lohu." Whenever it's written with lamed aleph, it means no. Ela me'ata, 1 second. It says bechol tzaratam lo tzar. In all of their suffering, it's not. There's no tzar. What does that mean here? Dichtiv belamed aleph. Achanamid lohu. What does that mean? Is it that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he says every single time that we're suffering, he's not suffering? That means you're going to tell me bechol tzaratam lo tzar. He's not going to be tzar. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
Didn't Job say straight away that if
that was the pasuk. So the question is, what is that referring to? Was that something positive or something negative? So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that's exactly what happening, what does that mean? You see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's actually suffering with us when we're suffering. When we are suffering, God is suffering. You understand? You're also supposed to be suffering. Ela, but rather, mashma hachi u mashma achi. Right? What does that mean? Mashma achi is that sometimes it could be, even if it's written lamed aleph, sometimes it could be written and it could mean that Hashem is not, meaning the word no, and sometimes it is that it is. So therefore, it all depends on the terminology whether it means no or whether it means that sometimes it could be. The Tanya we learned in the Braita, Rabbi Meir says, Ne'emar Yireh Elokim b'Yov and Ne'emar Yireh Elokim b'Avraham. It says Yireh Elokim by two different people. It says God-fearing person also by Abraham, and it says God-fearing person also by Yov. Right? So he says, Ha'amur, just like the Yireh Elokim said by Avraham Avinu is done me'ava, is done from love, meaning even though he was God-fearing, but he had love of God, Yireh Elokim Amur b'Yov should be the same thing. Yireh Elokim, exactly. That's the pasuk. Yireh Elokim. That's the pasuk by Avraham Avinu. Meaning that just like by Avraham Avinu, it says Yireh Elokim, but there we know that he loved God, meaning even though he had a fear of God, but he also loved God. So same thing by Yov. So says the Gemara, Avraham gufim minalan. How do we know Avraham itself that it's done with Ava? Tichtiv zera Avraham uavi. It's the children of Avraham, my beloved one. So the fact that it says my beloved one means that there was Ava between them. So says the Gemara, what's the difference between love and fear? What's the problem? You're going to come and you're going to say, you know what? I fear God. What's the difference? By the way, you should know, remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made parallel the kibud avayim to God. What does that mean? There's a concept of you have to respect your parents, right? Which is the kavod, to give the honor. And then there's going to be also the concept that you have to fear of your parents. The exact same thing of ahava in kavod, which is referring to your parents, also refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's why when a person comes and he says, okay, do you fear your father? Or do you love your father? Right? There has to be an aspect of both. Because if you only fear, so when he's in front of you, you won't do something that he doesn't like.
They tell us to feel our mother, not our father.
No, it says both.
There's two psukim.
It just says your mother first.
Okay.
But it doesn't say that you don't fear your father.
Okay.
It just says your mother first by fear and your father first by kavod, because
flip it
you
around.
flip it around because of what you usually do
Right.
more. But not that you don't have to fear the father. Okay.
You get that?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, very good. Says the Gemara, right? Ika, the Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Lazar Omer, Gadola ose me'ava, yoter min ha'oseh me'ira. What is greater? Love is greater than fear, right? Right? Love is greater than fear. Do you love your wife or do you fear your wife? Yeah, so he comes and he says, right? He comes and he says, huh?
They're Moroccan, you probably fear them.
You probably fear them. Very good. Yeah. So he comes and he says, I passed the pussy already. Yeah, he made it. He's still alive. He's still breathing. It's good. Yeah. So he says, right? So he comes like this. He says, Gadola oseh me'ava yoter min ha'oseh me'ira. It's greater love than fear. Ze talui le'elef dor, ze talui le'alpayim dor. What does that mean? When you come and you do something out of fear of God, the zechuyot, they stay for 1,000 generations. But when you do something out of love of God, the zechut stays for 2,000 generations. As it says, right? Alafim is the 1,000, but that's the alafim is minimum of 2,000 because alafim is plural. It doesn't say elef, right? It says alafim. Alafim is thousands. So minimum of thousands in plural has to be 2. Okay, that's to do with va. But it says the ones that love me. Vehatam, and over there to do with yira, it says shomer abri v'achesed u'shomre mitzvotav le'elef dor, for 1,000 generations. So you see from here that it's actually double, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciates more that when you serve him out of love than when you serve him out of fear. For sure, you have to have fear as well, 100%. That was a Misham Pirkei Avot, right? That we have to always have to fear of God and also love of God. We just did it to do with Chavitzah Mitzvah, right? That's you have to have both, 100%, right? And by the way, you have to have both to do with your parents, and you have to do both, right? To do the concept also of the respect of also. We're going to speak about it another time, but okay, fine. Yes, 100%. So he comes and he says now like this. He says, the Gemara asks, Hatam nami ktiv, but it's written over there. Lo ahava u'shomre mitzvotav le'elef dor. It says also written by ahava le'elef dor. So what are you telling me that ahava is going to be 2,000 generations? It also says elef by ahava, 1,000 by ahava. So it should be the same as fear. And it says the Gemara, the alpine door was right beside lo havai. Over there, when it says elef dor, it says u'shomre mitzvotav le'elef dor. It's yirat Hashem. So therefore, it all depends what you were referring to. If it's yira, 1,000. If it's ahava, 2,000.
2,000?
2,000. Minimum. Yeah? Okay, fine. Hanau, there's nothing there for 2,000. Hanau treta mideh, davuyat mekemeh derava. He comes and he says, Right?
what I said.
He comes and he says, yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says, right? All the Talmidim were coming and sitting down, right? Learning, right, in front of Rava. One of them says, Akaryum bechalmai, they told me a pasuk. Maravtu becha shetapanta lirecha. Yeah, what does that mean? Maravtu becha shetapanta lirecha. What is going to be good with all the fear that you have for the ones that are fearing you? One of them, they called me, he says, you're both of them, both of you people, if they told you these two pesukim in a dream, you're both tzadikim gemurim. But more, you do it me'ava. And therefore they told you the pasuk of the other one was doing me'ira. And therefore they went and they told me, Akadosh, Perek Shishit, the 6th chapter, says the Mishnah, a husband comes and he warns his wife to not be alone with this man. And she's alone with this man. Afilu shama me'of poreach, even if he heard, right, that the stira, he heard it from an off poreach, he heard it from a bird. Yeah, a bird. You know the expression. Yeah, exactly. He heard it from a bird coming and telling him, right? So therefore, what happens? He's obligated to divorce her and to pay her the ketubah. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, these are the words of Rabbi Eliezer, right? What does it mean also when it says of Koreach? It just means, which one? No, you're allowed to accept in order to suspect. You're always allowed to do that. In order to suspect. Okay?
You can't, if you hear that Shema, you can't accept it until you know it's fact.
Exactly. You still have to take the precautions. Right? If somebody comes and he says that they're going to kill this person, he doesn't accept it. Those were the blind.
Famous story in the Gemara.
Yes, the famous story in Tzidkiyahu, and then also it happened actually with also, it says like this. So somebody comes and they give the kinui, and then what happens is they find out from somebody that the edut is not going to be received. So what happens is that what? Is that it's going to come and it's going to get, they have to believe it, he has to actually get rid of her. Rabbi Yoshua, all right, Rabbi Yoshua comes and he says, until, no, really, Be'emet, he's not obligated to come and to start divorcing her until the women that they're coming and they're kneading and all these things, right? That they're sewing and everything, until they're going to come and they're going to start speaking about her. Meaning they're going to start saying, this woman, she's cheating and she's this and she's all these things. Amar Ed Echad, right? Until they're speaking about her. Amar Ed Echad, says one witness. Ani ri'tia shenitzmet. So imagine right now one witness says, I saw that she became tmeah. Lo eita shota, she wouldn't drink from the waters, right? Because again, since the tum'ah, that's what he's saying over here. So therefore one Ed, he's going to be ne'eman legamre. So he says, right? So therefore, it's not a safek. So therefore, she doesn't have to come and she has to drink. He says, even if it's going to be an eved or a shivcha, they're going to be ne'emanim. They're going to be believed, even to receive her ketubah, which means even if it's going to be an eved or a shivcha, that they come and they testify that she was tmeah, they're believed, and therefore she doesn't drink. Because remember, the drinking is only on the safek, on the doubt. Here, when you have a witness, right, there's no doubt. The only thing is, fine, you can't kill her, or you can't do certain things, but there's no doubt anymore. The second that somebody actually comes and says that she actually did commit adultery, there's nothing what to talk about. Chamota, ubat chamota, v'tzarata, ve'yivimta, right? Ubat bala. Doesn't matter whether it's going to be her mother-in-law, or it's going to be the bat chamota, which is the mother-in-law. Right? It's automatic, correct? Or achot bala, right? Which is the sister-in-law. Sarata, or the other wife, the co-wife. The yivimta, or the yivimta, right? Which is sarata also. Bat bala, or the daughter of the husband. Meaning the husband was already previously married, he had a daughter. That daughter is going to hate, right? This woman is the second wife. These women are also believed that she probably did come and she committed adultery. But they're not believed to do with money. Because these women for sure don't believe to do with money to make her lose a ketubah. But rather, they're only believed to just say that what? That she did something in order that she is not going to drink, but not to do with money. But to do with money, they're not going to believe. Shaya bedin, because it's actually fitting to come and say, Uma eduta rishona, just like the edut on the stira, right? She'en osarta isur olam, which does not prohibit her forever. Ena mitkayemet bepachot mishnayim. It's not going to be mitkayem with less than 2 people. At the end of the day, you have to remember, when we're talking about, right, the entire concept of, ed echad, we're trying to say that really bemet ed echad should not be believed for sotah shazinta from a kavachomer. If right now the edut on the stira, right, the edut, the testimony on being alone, right, does not actually prohibit her forever, right? At the end of the day, she drinks and then she goes back to her husband. You still need 2 witnesses. Ha'edut ha'acharona, which is edut on tum'ah. Tum'ah comes after stira. Stira is only seclusion. Tum'ah is that she actually committed infidelity, she committed adultery. So therefore he says, Adut acharona shel sata isulam, which does prohibit her forever. Shouldn't it be also the same thing that you should need 2 witnesses? Which means like this. Remember we said that there was kinui, and the kinui is done with 2 witnesses. All of a sudden, right, somebody comes and he says she was by herself with somebody. It doesn't matter. It's only 1 person. You need 2 people. So he's trying to say al-kavachomen. If to come and to do stira, you need 2 people. So if it's going to be that you need 2 people, right? Shouldn't it be that kal-vachomer that you need also 2 people for the tum'ah? Tamulomar comes teach you ve'edem ba kol sheyesh ba. Says only when there's not going to be a witness, so you come and you give her to drink. The second that there is going to be a witness, even if it's going to be 1 witness, it's already enough to make her that she's not a sotah. But I mean like this: a sotah is only on a safek. The fact that there's 1 witness, you're right. I can't exact all punishments, but there's no safek anymore because I have 1 witness. So you're right. I cannot kill. I cannot have certain rules. I'm tied behind my back, but at the end of the day, it's not a safek anymore. So when it says ve'edem ba, it's only going to be that's the gzerat hakatuv over there. That's telling you that she's not considered a sotah misafek. It's now going to be a sotah mivadai. Kal v'chomer le'edut harishona me'ata. So now that we just learned this, and we're talking about an ed echad, that he's going to be ne'eman la'ida latuma, right? We could actually come and we say, uma'im, just like, right, lamed aleph amud 31b, edut ha'acharona, right? The edut ha'acharona, he says, is shel sata yisur olam, that is going to be prohibiting it for forever, right? Which is on the tumah, it's going to prohibit it forever. Harei mitkayemet bed echad, it's going to be with 1 witness, right? Which means that right now we're talking about 1 second. Let's now flip the kal v'chomer. If you're going to tell me now that it's going to be mitkayem with 1 witness, edut harishona on the stira, she'eno sotah olam, eno din shekayem yedechad. 1 second. If 1 witness is enough for the tum'ah, so kal v'chomer, it should be enough for the stira, because the tum'ah prohibits her forever. The stira doesn't prohibit her forever. So if right now you told me that 1 witness is enough, so kal v'chomer, 1 witness should be enough for the yisur of the stira. Talmud Lomar comes teach you ki matzah ba'ervat davar. When it says that you found something of immorality to do with the woman, so therefore it says you found something of immorality by her, and it says to do with anything of mamonot. It says anything to the monetary things. Also the same thing that you need 2 or 3 witnesses for this action, for davar, right? So he says just like over there to do with money, you always need 2 witnesses. Afkan, you need a pishneidim. So to here, you need 2 witnesses. You always need 2. So fine. Then the Mishnah says, what happens in a case where there's going to be a machloket, right, between the edim, whether behemet she did commit adultery or not. 1 witness comes and he says nitmet, ve'ed omer lo nitmet. Meaning 1 witness comes and he says that he saw that she actually had relations. And the other one he comes and says, what are you talking about? I was there. I also saw the same thing. But she didn't have relations. What are you talking about? Isha omeret nitmet, Isha omeret lo nitmet. 1 woman was coming and saying she was nitmet, and 1 woman says lo nitmet. Hayta shota, she used to come and drink the me'amarim. Echad omer, she still would come and drink it. Why? Because since the eduyot, it contradict each other. It's like you have contradictory evidence, and therefore they cancel out each other. Right? If you've got one on one side, one on the other side, they like cancel out, and you're left with nothing. So again, she's a regular sotah. One of them says nitmet, u'shnayim omrim lo nitmet. One of them, if you have 1 witness that says that she committed adultery, and 2 of them said that she did it. Hayta shota, she would still drink the waters. 2 people said that she did become tmeah, and 1 says that she didn't. Lo hayta shota, she wouldn't drink it, because the edut of shnaim is stronger than 1. So ever since the tum'ah is actually because of them, now you have 2 witnesses that she was tmeah. Again, there's no reason for drinking, right, the waters. That's what we're saying until now in the Mishnah. Here's the Gemara. Hay Talmud Lomar. When it says over here the Mekor, where the Tana says, Ma kimatza ba ervat davar. What does it mean in the pasuk when it says kimatza ba ervat davar? Talmud Lomar ve'eden ba velo bikinui, ba velo bistira mi baile. Says, if you remember, we said kimatza ba ervat davar. He found in her something of ervat davar, right?
A matter
of immorality. So he says over here, lichora, we could come and we could say ve'eden ba, that there was no witness. Ba, there was no witness, not in the kinui and not in the stira. What does that mean? Right? When we say ve'eden ba, we're trying to say that ed echad is only ne'eman ba, to do the tumah, but he's not ne'eman to do the kinui and not in the stira. You remember this was at the beginning of the Masechet that we learned
right away.
at the beginning of the
very
Masechet.
beginning.
Right at the beginning we learned.
Should have been here.
You remember? What did we learn? We learned right away at the beginning. When it says ve'eden ba, to do with the tumah, only one witness is believed. But to do with the kinui or stira, you always need two witnesses. Meaning, one witness, the husband comes, I gave her kinui. Where's your witnesses? No, I bring Richard. No, that's not enough. I need two witnesses. Fine. I have two witnesses for the kinui. She was by herself. Where's your witnesses? I only have Richard. No. Sorry, I need two witnesses. To do the kinui in the stira, you need two witnesses. Because it says ve'ed en ba to do with the what? That means only one witness is going to be believed to do the tumah. But to do with the kinui in stira, you need the two. So it says the Gemara,
So one is enough.
only because ve'ed en ba, only but to do with the tumah is one witness enough. But to do with everything else, you need two witnesses. So says the Gemara, Hinami Kaman. Says the Gemara, that's exactly the Lashon of Mishnah. Talmud Lomar comes teach you ba velo bekinui, ba velo b'stira, which means when the Torah says ve'ed en ba, that there's no witness, and it says ed, doesn't say edin, one witness, ve'ed en ba. So therefore it's true. By this halacha, one witness is enough. Why are you going to ask me? Right? That's what the Torah says. One witness is enough. But it says ve'ed en ba. But on this, there's one witness. Is that going to be okay? But to do with everything else, you always need two witnesses. Whether it's the kinui and the stira, v'lo b'stira, the tumah be'alma v'lo kinui v'lo stira, the lo me'emen ed echad menalam. But now 1 second. Imagine right now, a one witness comes into Bedin, and he says this woman committed adultery. Is he believed? No.
Yeah. No.
He's not believed.
No.
He's not believed. It's a gzerat katuv only by sotah, that you already have something which is called reglaim nadavar. You already have substantial evidence that Ribono Shel Olam, she already had the kinui, and she did the stira.
That's the first stuff.
Right? Exactly. And now we have an ed, but only one ed, on tum'ah. So the Torah says, I'm already going to believe him. Because there's already dvarim shebego. There's already things which are, 1 second. The husband didn't suspect him of every Joe Shmo. The husband suspected him of infidelity. He comes and he does kinui. And then,
there's no history.
exactly. If there's no history, you don't believe it. There's a track record. If there's a track record, you're going to believe it. Imagine right now, you come and I say that Richard came, he came to a shiur, and he didn't say a word. Possible. It's a track record, right? Why? A track record means that there's something behind it, so you believe it. But if you're going to come and you're going to say that about somebody else, I don't believe that, right? It doesn't make sense. So same thing. When it says ve'ed en ba, so it says over here tum'ah be'alma without kinui, without stira, he's not going to believe. How do we know that? It says ne'emar kan davar, ne'emar lan davar. Since it says kimat sabar davar, he found something of immorality by her, and it says that you need 2 or 3 witnesses by davar to do with the matter of money. Just like over there, you always need 2 witnesses. So to you need 2 witnesses. So therefore, from here we learn that it's only in this case that one witness is believed. It's not going to be in every single case. Okay, next, 2 dots. Ed omer nitmet. One witness comes and he says she's going to be nitmet, right? And then you have another ed that he says no, lo nitmet. So one more time, you had 1 against 1, right? 1 second, you had 1 against 1. So what happens now? Says the Gemara, ta'amad kamachishle. Here you have contradictory evidence, meaning one witness says A, and the other one says completely the opposite. It's not A and B. I say yes, you say no. 2 completely different things. So therefore, well, let's say they're not contradictories. One witness is believed. How do we know this? We already said it. When it says ve'eden ba, right, that she's going to be believed, so it says the word ed is always usually 2 witnesses. You say it's 2 witnesses, well, maybe it's only 1 witness. When it says the one witness can never come and testify, from the fact that it says ed, and I don't know that it's one witness. So if you say loikum ed, so it's obviously it's echad. So when you say loikum ed echad, you already know it's echad. So he says, Zebana Av, it's a binyan Av. Kol makom shneimar ed, hare kan shnayim, ad sheifrot lecha katuv echad. Whenever it says the terminology ed equals two witnesses, automatically. Unless the Torah tells you mefurash, ed echad. If it does not tell you ed echad, it says ve'ed, it automatically means two. V'amarach manas, it says the Torah, tzrei let ba, she doesn't have two witnesses, el echad, but she only has one witness. And therefore, in this case, it says, v'ilonit pasa, that she wasn't violated. And therefore, she's going to be a surah, the ba'ala. So says the Gemara, 1 second. The Kevin the midoraita dechad me'eman, right? One second. If I'm going to come and I'm going to believe this one witness, and this one witness is testifying against her is believed mina Torah. He's believed from the Bible. So then how do you have the other one witness going against him? The second that you're going to come and you're going to believe this one witness, he becomes like two witnesses. Because Kilu, the Torah tells you, this guy is believed on his own. So for this other one witness, how does he go against it? If it was another two against him, it makes sense. But if it's a one against one, it's not one against one. Because if you believe him, it becomes one against two. He becomes like two. Ula says, anytime that the Torah says that one witness is believed, it's like two witnesses. So one witness cannot go against two witnesses. But rather Ula says, Tani lo aita shotah. No, you're right. When it says, one of them says nitmet, and one of them says lo nitmet, she wouldn't drink the waters. Because then it was already done that Kilu, that he was believed. Right? That she wouldn't drink the waters. Rabbi says, no. She would drink the waters. Because basically, since it's still a safek, she would drink the waters. So says the Gemara, and according to Rabbi, kashe d'ula, you have the question of Ula. Because if Ula says, if you believe one witness mina Torah, that's like two witnesses. So how does one witness go against two witnesses? Says the Gemara, like a question. It all depends on the same time, right? That's when Ula was talking about. That means two witnesses coming, right? Or we're talking about, right? Two witnesses coming, which means like this. Whenever Ula said that whenever the Torah believes one witness, it's considered like two witnesses, it's only talking about when Eduto nitkabla b'vedin, before there was a chasha through somebody else. But in our case, it was one right after another, which means the chasha happened immediately, which means like this. Imagine right now you take the case. One witness comes to Bedin, she's Tmeah. Remember, the concept of Tmeah means that she committed adultery. That's the concept of Tum'ah. Okay? Right? That's the concept. So now what happens is like this, right? One witness comes and says, she committed adultery. Yeah? Okay, very good. Committed adultery. If right now there's nothing else that's happening, and we're going to give a gushpanka, we're going to sign, that's it. Even if one witness comes 10 minutes later or whenever it is afterwards, right? And he comes and he says, no, she wasn't Tmeah because I was beside the guy, right? And she didn't become Tmeah, he's not believed. Because the second that the Torah believed him, he's like two witnesses. And therefore, if one witness comes afterwards to go against him, he's not believed. But if at the exact same time, this one witness comes in and says, she was with this guy, right? She lived with him, she was Tum'ah. And the other guy comes and he says she wasn't, and it was immediately one after another, then no. The first guy is not believed like two. Because it was an immediate contradiction. It was like the evidence was taken down immediately. It wasn't that the evidence was accepted and only afterwards did you find new evidence and chule v'chule. No. Okay? So therefore what happens is that there's going to be a difference, okay, between them. We learned in the Mishnah, Ed Echad Omer, if we have one witness that comes and he says nitmet, right? Right? Ed Omer, one witness comes and he says nitmet. Ushnayim omrim, and two people say lo nitmet, right? That she was not tmeah, right? So remember, you have one saying that she was tmeah, and two saying not tmeah. Hayta shotah, right? That she would drink the waters. Hachad v'chad. But if it's going to be ed echad that says nitmet, and one of them says 1-on-1, lo hayta shotah, she wouldn't drink. So to the Ruchia, this goes against Ruchia. We just said that Ruchia says that a woman would drink if it was once again one against one. Here we're saying that she's not going to drink if it's one against one. So Ruchia is going to answer you. And according to your reasoning, let's say the Seifa. The Seifa says, right? Imagine two people come and say nitmet, and one person says lo nitmet. Lo hayta shotah. She wouldn't drink. Hachad v'chad. But if it was going to be 1-on-1, hayta shotah, she would drink. Ela, but rather kula b'psulei edut. Here we're talking about psulei edut, which means the shnaim that we're talking about here is b'derech klal, they're not allowed to testify.
Slaves.
Because we're talking about slaves or women, or whatever it is. Rabbi Nechemia, this is Rabbi Nechemia. Right? The Torah was learned to the right. Rabbi Nechemia says, whenever the Torah does believe one witness, we go after rov deot. So therefore, two women that they come and they go against one man in testimony is like two men going against one man in testimony, which means the second that the Torah comes and tells you you're going to believe one witness, everybody's believed, even a woman's believed, they're all believed. Okay, everybody. But if you have one witness at the beginning that's kosher, so for even the 100 women that come afterwards, they're only considered one witness, and they're not going to be considered afterwards, which means we don't go after rov deot. It becomes one against one, right? That means basically, if you have one kosher person, so then afterwards you could have another 100. But since they were not kosher, they all become like one kosher. But they don't become more than that one kosher.
But Rabbi Nechemia says they go by the majority.
Yes, that's what Rabbi Nechemia. Some people say no, that we don't go for the majority.
Weird.
Right? On the top, here what are we with? Going, for example, the woman came first. Meaning we're not talking about that there was a man that came first and he was kosher, and then you could have another 100 women and we don't care. No, the first person that came was a woman. We answer Rabbi Nechemia like this. Rabbi Nechemia says, anytime that the Torah believes one witness, we go after the majority. So we made two women to do with the testimony of one woman, like two men and one man. But when you have two women that are going against one man, it's like half and half. Meaning two women against one man, it's like half against half, right? It's like one against one, right? Why? Because the man came first. So therefore, it's half and half. Okay? So why do we need then two to do with people that are pasul? If anyway, it doesn't matter. So why do I need two women then? So he says, I would have thought to say, we do go after the majority of the people. But here we're going lekula. So we don't go. Kamashmanan comes to teach you that we do go after rov deot in any case, and even if it's going to come to a kula, to a leniency, and not only a stringency. So we just finished this perek as well.